Yes, I agree, and that's well said. And for the people who've been following the 2012 issue, I know there were a lot of different opinions on what's going to happen in 2012, which is probably the real reason behind this conscious convergence. As it's laid out, I think it was Carl Kalaman, who studied the Mayan philosophy of the evolution of consciousness, was talking about this first, and he was saying that the 17th, the 18th of this month, this weekend coming, signifies the arrival of the 9th wave of conscious evolution coming from the centre of the galaxy, which the Mayans call Hunapku. And this wave takes us into the 2012. So you're basically using the start of this wave to set the intention for that time when we manifest our own reality. We're either going to doom ourselves or save ourselves, and it comes down to us at the end of the day. So set out positive thoughts for this weekend.
Yeah, personally, I would say it's till 2017.
Yeah.
It's 7 years. It's not personally from my own journey with the whole kind of process. And I've met Jeff Stray, who's quite a big. Do you know Jeff Stray? Have you come across him? He'd be great on the show. He's a 2012 seeker, basically, and he has really explored everything that's out there on 2012. He is an expert, he really is, and he's written a number of fantastic books all about 2012. Personally, though, I think that the world is ending in 2012. I think it's going to be a bit like the Y2K. 2012 will come and go, and very much things will still be ticking along. However, more and more people will be becoming more empowered to what they want to see in their lives and how they want their lives to be, and not feeling so disempowered and fearful and anxious. I mean, there'll be a lot of that on the planet too, but more and more people will be able to choose different pathways, and the pathway that's of love, light, harmony, and conscious connection. That way is going to be lighting up much easier than it is at the moment. At the moment, most people are feeling it, but it's not really out there, and very soon. And I'm hoping to be one of those people, and I know you guys are also doing it, is taking it out in much more into the mass market and saying, okay, there's other ways of being. You don't have to choose this way, this 3D reality way. There is many more opportunities, and just showing people the way, really.
Yeah, I mean, if it does get into the mass market, then people will start to think of that as part of the normal zeitgeist, and it'll just become normalised. And then the market it's kind of, if you build it, they will come, I think, with that.
Exactly.
We've got quite a few questions here from dealing with a few different things. It was asking about a petition. Steve from the N.E.T site's asking, have you got a petition to... Well, I presume that's to widely disseminate hemp licenses or something?
At the moment, I've just built a community hemp website called hempforpeople.ning.com. It's on a Ning platform, and my dream is to create like the Facebook of the hemp industry. So to get people actually discussing these things online, a bit like Mumsnet, but for the hemp industry. So you can have your own profile page, start having communities like up in Newcastle or in different parts of the world. Actually, so you have it on a global level, but also have it on a community level where people can upload their videos and actually start discussing hemp. Because at the moment, if you type in a hemp onto Google, loads of things on marijuana comes up, and it's very difficult to extract the hemp issue from the marijuana issue. So when you talk about hemp, immediately you talk about marijuana, so you don't actually get to the most important things about hemp. So my aim is to create a real hemp discussion and leave the marijuana to the other sites that are available on the website. So if anyone is interested out there who would like to start discussions up, I'm learning slowly the art of social networking on the internet.
Can you repeat that web address?
Yeah, it's called Hemp for People. That's hemp for FOR people.ning.com, and you can upload, you can become a member, you can start writing stuff down. I've got a couple of blogs up there already, but I'm hoping that people will start utilising it. It's just getting the message out there that it exists, and then from there we can start using it as a political platform. The more members we get, and the more of a community feeling we get, more of discussions, we can start looking at really getting a groundswell so that we can. Obviously, a really good ally is Zach Goldsmith, who's now a member of Parliament for Richmond, and I've already talked to him about hemp, and he's really into the environment and ecology. So there is an opportunity now with this Conservative Liberal government to really bring in the hemp issue on a very serious level and really get it out of the water from marijuana. But I think it's going to take some time, and the more support we get from the community to do it, obviously that's where the argument is going to come from. It's certainly not going to come from a big investor, because then it'll be all financially based, and that's not what we're about. We're about getting empowered through the community, which is why I've been more or less doing it on my own with a few friends helping me, rather than try and sell it on to the highest bidder type thing, which I'd never do.
We've got another question here that's on a completely different track.
Yeah.
It says, can you ask Rebecca what her take is on the Gulf oil disaster? Could it be an extinction event? That's from Jim in Newcastle.
Well, there are several different thoughts on what's happening over there. Some people think it's the worst ecological disaster of all human history. Some people think it's a false flag ecological event. Some people think it's been blown out of proportion, and some people think we're not quite sure, because nobody can really get over there.
Yeah,
well,
it's still out on it, I think, isn't it?
But they've imposed a media blackout on the area, and no fly zone, so you cannot really see what's really happening there.
But you can. There are pictures, and you just have to look at the beaches, and some of the beaches in Florida and around the area of where it all happened. The seventh Hopi prophecy is that the sea will turn black, and all the sea animals will die. And then the eighth one is that some people will come and change the way things are done on the planet, and that's very interesting. You can Google it. It's the seventh Hopi prophecy. So I personally, because I've actually worked with the Hopi community and lived with them on Third Mesa in Arizona. I did that in '95. I really think that it's a warning. It's a massive warning that cheap oil, it has its environmental price, and at the moment certainly not enough heads are rolling for what's going on, which kind of shows you where the politics lie, and again the financial might lies. 2 billion pounds has been spent on the cleanup, which very interestingly, 2 billion has been spent on this cleanup, but in Bhopal, when they had the big factory exploded, and in 20,000 people died. They only got 480 million, over 25 years, and now 2 billion has been poured into this environmental crisis, which just goes to show you at the moment where the situation is. And it's a terrible situation. There are stories that all this oil is just gushing out of this hole, and actually is creating a black hole, because all this is like, releasing taking out a plug, and so all this oil, and then eventually all the sea is going to pour into this hole that's been created by the oil. So that's another quite a scary scenario, and that's going to create a massive, huge
Can I just point out, though, actually, Rebecca, that my understanding is that as they pump the oil out, they pump water in so that the oil keeps rising to the top, because naturally it floats on water. So that's a bit my little 2 penneth worth of oil industry knowledge on that one. I don't think it's going to swallow the sea up down this disappearing hole, wouldn't it?
Well, thousands of gallons are being pumped out of that hole a day. It's really, no one really knows the true story, but if America is calling it the worst environmental disaster ever, you can be sure that it's pretty bad, and no one really knows, but certainly loads of sea life are dying from it. You can't clear up oil like that. It really represents, and what's the sickest thing about this whole scenario is that it was a perfect opportunity for Obama to talk about the addiction to to cheap oil in the United States and actually talk about doing something more green. And nothing has been talked about the environment. Nothing has been mentioned about maybe shifting to more environmentally friendly products other than fossil fuels. Because to be honest with you, we didn't need to ever go into fossil fuels. I mean, the first car Henry Ford made was purely out of hemp and sisal, and the diesel engine was originally designed to run on hemp and peanut oil, never on fossil fuel. Fossil fuel has been a very new, phenomenon that only happened like 100 years ago, and our addiction to it has grown as the interests of the people that want it to be grown, their bank balances have got richer. And like I was saying to a friend of mine, if you're in the arms industry, the oil industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the cancer industry, or, then oil in the technology industry, then you're going to have money. But anyone who's doing anything that's not doing that are struggling, because that's where the money is at the moment. That's where the money allocation is going, is in those areas, which just kind of goes to show you how dark it's got and how it just needs to shift. And that's sometimes what happens. The pendulum has to shift to the extreme before it can shift the other way. And I think that this is just another example of needing for us to wake up and realise exactly what our addiction to fossil fuels is creating here and on the planet, and waking up to our personal responsibility to that.
Yeah, and of course, there's always one other way of doing it. It's just to work out a way of doing it without any money, which is generally what I have to do. So, I mean... oh,
yeah, absolutely.
The more we get it out there, the better, I would have thought, yeah.